This story is posted in Surviving Infidelity subreddit posted by Big Gulps a Hallright. My wife has left me for a married man. I still want her to come back. She will not. Hello, I thought I should lay this story down from beginning to end. I have so many racing thoughts all the time, and I keep putting together pieces, but never the full story. I went to high school with this girl named Michelle for the story. She was a part of my friend group, very pretty and fun to be around, but we didn't really talk much one-on-one. We kind of drifted apart, and I had a daughter with a different girl from our friend group when I was 19. After high school, I did not see Michelle for a few years until we were 22 in 2007. And one day while driving with a friend, I realized we were right near her small retail store and suggested we stop in randomly for some reason. It was good to see her, she looked great. Another employee at the store said, "Are you here to ask her out? She just had a breakup a few weeks ago." And I just blurted out, "Yes." She said, "Let's go out for drinks tonight." I said, "I'll see you then." This came up at a bad time, I was broke as could be, and went and spent my last dollars on clothes for the date, and then borrowed some money for a friend for the drinks. We were both 22 at the time and ended up going out to a small dive bar near her apartment. We had a great time. We drank pitchers of beer and had old-fashioned bar pizza. We went back to her apartment and had intercourse twice. I was ecstatic. After that, we were inseparable. She would get home from work at 6 a.m. and take a nap until I got off work around 1 a.m. And then I would head over to her apartment and we would pretty much hang out until the sun came up every single day. We were in love right away. We took a trip to Vegas a few months and ended up getting married, completely unplanned. Things went well for a few months, and then there was a tragedy in the family in summer 2008 when my brother committed suicide. Admittedly, I did not handle it well. We had just moved into a new rental house a couple weeks before, and I told her I needed space. She moved back into her mom's house for a while. It turns out space was the last thing I needed. I was drinking every single day. I was a mess. I told her I wanted a divorce, and I started sleeping with other women. I started doing a lot of hookups, and so did she. After a bit, one of my hookups became more regular, and I became really attached to her. It was my brother's girlfriend's little sister. I was pretty into her, but knew she was out of my league. Michelle and I hadn't been married long and didn't really own anything together, so we were able to rush the divorce, and it got done quickly. I did not feel bad about the divorce at this point. I was in limerence with this new girl. I was stupid. I don't know what I was thinking. After a couple months, my relationship with the new girl fizzled out as expected, and I came back to earth. I was beating myself up. I blamed death and grief in my head. But in actuality, I think that was just an excuse, and I was just an asshole for leaving my wife. Michelle and I began talking again that fall, and before you knew it, we were right back where we were again. I had learned my lesson. This is the woman I want to marry and who I should have been with all along. Once our leases were up, we bought a house together in fall 2009, and life was great. We were building our life together and got a dog. Looking back, that is when we were the happiest. We got remarried in the fall of 2013 in a large ceremony that she deserved. I felt like the luckiest guy in the world. In late 2019, I saw a jar of prenatal vitamins in her purse. I jokingly said, "What?" I thought she was just taking them for skincare and hair and nails or whatever. We had talked about kids, and it was a possibility, but we never landed on a solid answer. She had never really expressed a want for children before. Turns out that she had gone to accompany one of her friends to a fertility clinic because the friend was trying for a baby. Michelle took her own tests and found out she was nearly infertile. She all of a sudden had baby fever. She was inconsolable. We had a lot of discussions about trying for a baby naturally, getting IVF if that was the best choice, or what our options were. In the end, we decided it was for the best that we did not move forward with children. In summer 2020, we moved out of our home into a rental home on a lake about 30 minutes outside of town while we prepared our house to sell and looked for a new one to buy. We had the best summer ever at the lake house. We ended every day with a wet swimsuit, a new sunburn, dinner on the grill, and our bed sheets covered in sand. After the winter set in, her women's health problems became worse. She was getting periods at random times, almost every other week. She was in pain, and it was recommended that she get a hysterectomy. This is a major operation, but we had already decided not to have children, so that part was settled. Her mom came over and took the driver's seat for this one. I got the feeling that I should take a backseat on this one since it was women's problems, and they had it covered. In retrospect, I should have done so much more. I should have pushed to be there for her more. I was not supportive enough, and I regret it. Directly after her surgery, our dog got sick, and it was a pretty quick descent until he had to be put down. We were both devastated. Neither of us have gotten over it still. That was February 2022, so she was dealing with surgery recovery and the death of our best friend. Time went on, and she healed physically, but we're still hurting from the loss of our dog. We ended up getting a cat that she could not live without in summer 2022. She loved it. We continued to search for a lake home of our own, ended up finding one about 4 miles away, and closed on it in December 2022. It was a great feeling to finally be able to settle in and begin living on our own again. No landlords, no storage units, all of our possessions in one place. Our new home was a great find, very private, 40 minutes from both of our work buildings. Everything we wanted. We had a great spring and summer, pontoon cruises, swimming, grilling, and picnics, etc. In mid-June 2023, we had a day of yard work planned. She said she had to go drop some stuff off for work first and would be back. She was gone for the entire day, like 7 hours. She finally called me up at about 4 callers and was almost too drunk to speak. "Will you come pick me up?" She barely was able to get out. I said yes and drove to go pick her up. We shared locations on iPhone, so I just followed that. It took me 90 minutes to get across town in traffic to pick her up. Once I got to her location, I found it was a type of strip mall with a bunch of suites in it. There was not any signage. I texted her that I was there and did not get a response. I called twice and she did not pick up. I began to worry. I called her mom, whom she works with, and said she called me to come pick her up from this guy's office and was absolutely shit-faced. "Do you know what suite it is or the business name?" She says, "Oh, he must have gotten her drunk," and looked it up. I walked into the building and up to the suite. I was concerned on what I was going to walk into. I opened the door, and they were in his office. He was sitting behind his desk, and she was sitting in a chair in front of it. They were both drunk out of their minds. He stands up to come shake my hand, and he is so drunk he cannot even look at me. He is looking through me. I am visibly upset, and I don't say a word and shoo her into the car. I grab her things and bring them with. She instantly passes out the second she gets into the car. We get home, I bring her inside and put her to bed. The next morning, I get a text from her that says, "I am sorry, not just about yesterday, but also that I have been such a bad partner lately. It's not okay, and I want to be better. I understand you being upset, and rightfully so. I'm sorry, and I hope you can forgive me and I can prove myself to be better." I respond, "I am not going to get into a text conversation about this, but here are some of my thoughts. You don't have 1 ounce of respect for me. You're selfish, and don't give a fuck about anyone but yourself. Inappropriate, unprofessional, immature. Worst of all, predictable." She says, "That is fair. Thank you for responding. I hope you give the opportunity to be better. You deserve better. I am really sorry." I thought she sounded pretty sincere, so I forgave and moved on. Then going into the fall, we were having a great time. We loved the house and would talk about how well we did often. We would go on midnight swims, late-night stargazing, and long walks holding hands. Healthy intercourse life, everything. Everything was going great. Then her dad went into hospice care. He had been in poor health for quite some time previously. We talked about it regularly, and she had prepared herself for his death for a long time. Then I noticed her disconnecting a bit. She was backing off, going into work early, leaving super late. She would come home 3 hours late and drunk pretty regularly. She would come home sobbing and tell me it was about her dad's condition. I would try and comfort her. Then she would come home sobbing another day for other reasons connected to her childhood. I would comfort her as best I could, but something was off. I could tell. On December 1st, my 19-year-old daughter came into town to visit. On the same day, my wife's dad died. I felt awful for her and tried everything I could to help her through it. I noticed resentment from her that my daughter had to be there on that weekend of all weekends. She seemed upset that she had to participate in activities like decorating the tree, etc. She just wanted to go to bed and text. I see this guy from the summer's name come up on her phone quite a bit at this point. They are texting a lot. He is married and has 1 child. As soon as my daughter leaves to go back to her mom's, my wife tests positive for COVID, while she is still grieving the loss of her father. I feel awful for her because she has avoided it for 4 years now. I take the best care of her that I can, knowing I will probably end up getting it too. I am on an immunosuppressant, so I am considered high risk, but I love her too much to isolate from her. One night, she takes NyQuil and goes to sleep. Her phone lights up with this guy's name. I look at it and discover what I have been fearing this whole time. They are having an affair. They are talking about leggings and pumps, her wearing schoolgirl outfits, and planning hotel nights. I feel like I was just hit by a truck. I get physically sick. I can't believe this is actually happening. I don't know what to do. I put her phone back and do not say anything. I think about what my next move is. I continue to nurse her back for the next 5 days while I think about it, and then decide I need to confront her before she leaves the house again. Once she is better, I sit her down and calmly say, "Okay, I know about you and Ryan, but this does not have to be the end of us. Will you please go to marriage counseling with me?" She says, "You know what about me and Ryan? You are having an affair with him." She says, "What? Are you spying on me?" "No, I am not having an affair. That is just work flirt texts. Nothing has happened, I promise. But also, I want a divorce anyway. I have been thinking about this for a long time and have gone and seen a therapist recently to decide what is best for me since the infertility problems. I want a divorce. I ask if she will go to marriage counseling, and she initially says yes, and that she will stay at the house while we attend counseling. She moves out to her mom's the next day and says she does not want to go to marriage counseling. She says that she knows that I want more time and effort to fix this, but she does not. She says she wants her clothes and bathroom stuff, and that is it. I can keep the house and the equity. She wants to just walk away from everything we have built together. She leaves, moves to her mom's, and stops sharing her location on iPhone. She does not contact me or respond for 3-4 weeks. In this time, she goes out and buys a brand new car on a whim. She must not have realized it, but she did not stop sharing location on her iPad. I see her going to all sorts of high-end hotels on the weekends now. I put 2 and 2 together. Married rich guy can't bring her home. So what is the next option? The Four Seasons. I have since driven past her house and seen this guy's truck there overnight, so her mom must be aware as well now. They don't have to go to hotels anymore, I guess. I convince her to go to a marriage counseling session. She attends and says she is keeping an open mind. The counselor does 15 minutes with her, 15 minutes with me, and then the last 30 minutes with all of us together. During her 15 minutes, she tells the counselor the marriage is fully over. She just wants the divorce, and needs to get that through to me somehow because I am not listening to her, and only keep trying to repair the relationship. I am devastated. Last night she came over to pick up some more of her stuff. It is the second time I have seen her since she left at the beginning of December, the first time since the marriage counseling session. She says she is going to come pick up her mail and some pillows from the house because she doesn't like the ones at her mom's house. She walks in and acts like nothing has ever been wrong, that everything is just fine and that we are old friends. Not romantic. She's pretty much talking to me like an old girlfriend catching up. Awkward side hug and all. She starts in on telling me all the things she has been up to, and I quickly catch on that she is actually telling me about the dates that she has gone on with this guy, but just saying she was going with her friend, who is also cheating on her husband, and who she has used as a cover story in the past. Top floor hotel penthouse suites, weekend getaways, sporting events, high-end restaurants, etc. I think to myself, does she think I am dumb? Who would believe this? It was almost like she wanted to brag so badly about her new boyfriend that she almost mentions him by name. She is in love. A gigantic wave of depression washes over me. I suddenly realize that she really is gone, and she is not coming back. She is so casual about the visit, telling me all the stories she can. She is kind of overstaying her welcome at this point, taking anything she wants, making herself right at home. She becomes hyper-focused on the hockey game that is on TV, which is out of the ordinary. She starts packing up things that do not matter to her and leaving things that I would think would be important. She takes the dry cleaning bag with her prom dresses from high school, but leaves the only painting her grandmother left her. She takes rain boots in the middle of January. She leaves her $1,000 Dior sun visor that she bought this past summer for pontoon rides. None of it makes sense. She mentions she wants to get a mini fridge, mini microwave, and mini toaster oven for her mom's basement. I say we have all of those things here she can bring them with. She says no. I will just buy them. You will? Then why did you come here for these ratty old pillows? I don't get it. She shows absolutely no emotion the entire time she is here. Gives me a pat on the back on her way out and leaves. I got the impression that this was the last time I would see her for a long time, potentially ever. I have considered telling the affair partner's wife, but have decided against it. She most likely already knows, judging by the amount of time and nights away spent with my wife. I know I am not innocent. I have not been the best husband I could be lately. I did not treat her like a princess like I promised to when we got married. I let myself go since COVID and was not the attractive spouse I should have been for much of the past 4 years. I disconnected from my friends and solely relied on her. That was unfair of me. I have been in a rut. I just can't get over that she agreed to buy this house with me, at the top of our budget, and then leave 11 months later. A complete 180 and just wants absolutely nothing to do with me. Doesn't want to speak to me or see me again. Doesn't care about the house we just purchased or the cat she just got. Wants to walk away with a suitcase of clothing and nothing else. I am devastated, and there is nothing I can do. So here I am in this new house, completely empty and quiet. I work from home and do not know anybody in this new city we moved to, so I am pretty isolated. Man, it hit me hard. Going through all those ups and downs with Michelle must have been challenging. It sounds like you guys had some incredible moments and faced your fair share of challenges. Look, I get it. People mess up, make mistakes, and sometimes life just throws curveballs. It's evident you're grappling with your own shortcomings, and that takes guts to admit. We're all human, right? But the thing that struck me the most is your genuine desire to make things right, to salvage what you had with Michelle. Finding out about her involvement with this married guy, especially after everything you've been through, must be excruciating. The way she's handling it, just walking away without a second thought, leaving you in this new house with all the memories, that's tough. I appreciate your openness and vulnerability in sharing this, and I genuinely hope you find the strength to navigate through this rough patch. What about you guys? What do you think in our OP situation? Feel free to share your own experiences or insights on this story in the comments below. User Taiwan Bondit said, wants to walk away with a suitcase of clothing and nothing else. Then let her do this. She told the therapist all she wants from you is divorce, so give it to her. You can't make her love you or come back to you. She has left the marriage. Get the best settlement you can while she is willing to sign everything away. Sell the house and buy something just for you or rent for a while. You need to take the necessary steps now to end this charade of a marriage. Sorry, OP. Let her go. Update me. User Comfortable Orchid 59 said, once the wife finds out and or the dude finds someone else, she's going to come crashing back to Earth. Everything is still new, so she's on cloud 9. Eventually, she's going to get sick of being the other woman and will want to be number one. I doubt that's going to happen, and karma will bite her in the ass for going after a married man. Him too. You need to work on yourself. Start working out. Keep busy, because that's the only way you can move on. The moment any thoughts of her enter your head, get busy doing something and redirect your thoughts. In time, it's going to hurt less and can move on. Maybe even start dating. Live the best life you can, and that's always the best revenge. Aussie Commodore Rooser. Sounds like her visit to you was nothing more than to emasculate you. You need to expose the married man and let his wife know. You don't know if she does know or not? Go no contact. She makes total pleasure in humiliating you and disrespecting you. I also believe her minimum effort in packing means she thinks she can come back to you and you'll be weak and gullible to accept her. Before we get into the next story, if you enjoy our cheating stories, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe for more. Now let's move on to our next story. Now our story is posted in Cheating Stories, subreddit posted by Exercise Flashy, Blurry Lines and Bad Mistake. I, 30F28 at the start of the story, have been friends with Jack, 32M30 at the start, since 2017, and we were involved in music together, playing gigs here and there. He moved to New Jersey later that year and got into a relationship in 2018. We continued to play gigs when he would return home periodically. At that time, I knew he had a girlfriend, and I genuinely did not have feelings for him for that reason and others. When he confided in me about his relationship problems, I tried to give him advice with the little experience and knowledge that I had. I felt uncomfortable when I came to learn that I was a major cause of their issues since I played in his band. I said that I would stop playing with them, and even offered to meet her to show her that I wasn't a threat if I were to continue playing with them. Time went on, and he started to help me with a fundraiser in 2019 I was putting on for the Humane Society. The more time we spent together, the more I started to grow fond of Jack as he was investing his time and energy and courting me. At this time, I was put under the impression that he and his crazy girlfriend were no longer together, so I let my guard down and did start to develop feelings. After the fundraiser, the plan was to tell him this. However, when that day came, he said that he already went back to his ex and that I should have said something sooner. I was really confused after a few weeks of being told that she was crazy and that she treated him poorly and that I was his soulmate. I was really upset and just kept myself busy with music and work. Why would someone be so invested in me but not be out of a previous relationship? Why would I want to be with someone who is having an affair on his girlfriend? And why did this always seem to happen to me? That summer, we kept playing music and eventually kissed around August as I was told they were no longer together, and he clearly was interested in me. I was focused on music still and was happy to be spending time with someone who shared the same goal and interests, but still felt confused and guarded. He would never take photos with me or open up to anyone on what we were becoming, so I didn't bother to tell my family yet since it was always stressful for me to bring someone home with my family dynamics. As things progressed, we spent more time together and got closer, and even talked about marriage. At this point, nothing was public, and I was still hesitant to know if he was still going to go back to his ex-girlfriend. In January 2020, I went on a whim. After 9 months of dating and feeling more trust and security, I gave up my virginity to him with thoughts of forever in our future. My goal was to always wait until marriage, and I believed that we would get married. We had similar family values and came from musical households. Things were becoming more serious until March 2020 when the pandemic occurred. Our developing relationship was put on a hold because of lockdowns and confusion and fear of the state of the world. I was much in love and shared my feelings and gave gifts and tried to continue building our relationship. At this point, he offered to help me with a personal music project, and our relationship became more of a working situationship, where I would go over to record, but we would also be intimate. This was a great escape from a crazy world, but I did feel guilty and wanted to have more commitment, but was facing unprecedented times. With the stress of the pandemic, it was not the right time to tell my family that I was in a relationship, especially since we were not supposed to go anywhere. I should have spoke to my brothers, but did not. I would say I love you a lot, and it was not always reciprocal. And as childish as this is on my end, it did lead me not really knowing where he was at since I shared my feelings more of how much I liked him. From 2020 to 2022 of October, I was completely invested and waiting for him to finally ask me to be with him officially. Even though we were always together, it was always in private and nothing was established, so I was often in the dark. I was also living outside of my parents' house on my own due to COVID, so there wasn't as much of a push for me to tell them since I was waiting to see if it would finally become serious. COVID also caused a lot of stress and tension, along with my parents' health, and I was also quote-unquote finding myself after living under strict and legalistic beliefs and not having a strong relationship with God myself. Professionally, I accomplished a lot during this time working. During October 2023, I was getting tired of not having any clear understanding if we were exclusive or what we were since there was never a conversation. He was affectionate to me when we were in private, but he avoided me in front of his family and friends. I wanted to take initiative over the relationship and planned a romantic date to take Jack to see his favorite band and ask him to be engaged, or at least be on public girlfriend-boyfriend terms so I could bring him to my family and friends. I wanted to take our first couple photo with him being elated to see his favorite band, and I wanted to tell him how much I loved him. Even though I planned the date in August for the two of us, he ended up inviting his brother without telling me, and my heart was broken. I lost a lot of feelings that night and the desire to continue to try for the relationship, as I now had confirmation that it was going to stay at FWB. After the concert the next day, he said that things would be different, but there was still no commitment or change for the next 6 months. I felt stuck since I was waiting for our project to be over. It wasn't until April when I lost feelings that he acted out in distress that he wanted to be with me now that I was not interested. He began to love bomb, and instead of that making me happy, I was more so feeling unsettled. He visited me after a gig trying to make things work and brought up his ex again, and something in me broke. At this point, I distanced myself and spent a month apart to figure out what I really wanted. He wanted to finally make things official, and I pushed away. I did not say yes to being in an official relationship. However, staying involved playing music did make things blurry. At this time, I had a short-term emotional affair with an ex-partner we will call Harrison from May to August. I now realize that I did this as an escape, and that it was not the right thing to do, especially since this is what Jack did with me and his ex. I was still playing music with Jack during this time, but I was not invested in our situationship and was not being intimate with him. As in my heart, at that time, I did not want to have a future with him anymore after losing trust over 3 years of being strung along. During these months, I could see him really trying, now that he knew that he lost me. In September, Harrison and I stopped communicating entirely as I knew that I loved Jack. I know that I am in the wrong and I need advice on what to do. I feel extremely guilty and wish this never happened. At the time, however, I did not think that I would end up being back with Jack due to the lack of commitment and my loss of trust and feelings. Jack and I are back to our situationship, and he asked me to officially be his girlfriend in December. I have been dying of guilt and have felt suicidal. I did confess to Jack that I was with another person in April but did not share whole story. Please provide any advice. Thanks. It's clear you've been on a wild ride with Jack. From band gigs to romantic confusion. The dynamics seem pretty intense, especially with the blurry lines and that emotional roller coaster. Trust me, you're not alone in facing complexities. Now let's talk about the emotional affair with Harrison. It happened and you've owned up to it. We're all human and emotions can get tangled. The guilt you're feeling is tough, but remember, we all make mistakes. It's essential to learn from them, and it seems like you're on that path. Jack's been on his own journey too, and the on-again, off-again nature of your situationship can be draining. His distress signals a shift, but it's crucial to assess what you genuinely want from this relationship. As for feeling suicidal, please don't hesitate to reach out to friends, family, or a professional for support. There are people who care about you. Confessing to Jack about your involvement with Harrison was a brave step. Open communication is key in any relationship, and it's a positive move towards understanding each other better. Now, advice time. Take a deep breath. Reflect on what you truly want. If Jack and you are moving towards a committed relationship, lay down some clear boundaries and expectations. User Cheapform 4818 said, "It sounds like you're toxic for each other. That story is a mountainous road, full of hills and sharp turns from both sides. You never really stepped away from him to see how things could be. Blurred was the word you used. I would have had no contact for 6 to 12 months. No gigs, nothing. Also seemed odd he didn't come back wanting to rekindle things only when you were wanting to move past. I know pain and anguish are part of the creative side to musicians, but it's up to you. And no, you have nothing to be ashamed about, Harrison. Like Ross and Rachel, you were on a break. Hope it works for you, but don't be surprised if he surprises you." User Muchfield 1984 said, "From what I understand, you weren't official when Harrison happened. Am I right? If that's the case and you've already told him about it, I'm going to go out on a ledge here and say you're being too hard on yourself. You made a choice that turned out to be wrong for you. Forgive yourself and learn from it. So in the future, you do different. Don't stay stuck. As we finish this Reddit story, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing for more interesting Reddit tales. Your support is greatly appreciated, and I look forward to having you in the next video.